Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jae Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Frank Keck, the founder and CEO of Core Build Solutions. Frank brings a wealth of expertise as a certified speaking professional with over 17 years in corporate training, an Eagle Scout, a sales talk champion with Dale Carnegie, and the author of 9 books, including Embrace Your Freakness. Based in Kansas City, Missouri, Core Build Solutions, founded in 2001, is transforming how organizations enhance leadership and communication skills through workshops, coaching, and keynotes. We'll be exploring his founding story, how his business empowers clients with the freakness advantage, and his vision for scaling this impact-driven venture. So with that being said, let's dive right in. Frank, welcome to Founders Future.
Thanks, Jay. I think everybody listening, you should get Jay to get you on his podcast just so you can record his introduction, because that was awesome.
I truly do appreciate that, Frank. And it's awesome having you on the show with such an incredible background. Doing the research on you, I was enamored. So it was truly an honor having you on the show. So let's take it back to the beginning for our listeners, if we can, Frank. What specific problem in the leadership development landscape really inspired you to start Core Build Solutions?
So it's a couple pronged approach, Jay. First, it was when I went to work for Dale Carnegie. That's when I discovered, hey, I like being in front of the room. I like being able to make people laugh. But most of all, I like being able to help people in their journey to feel more confident, just to be more comfortable in your own skin, do the things that you love to do. And so I did that for Dale Carnegie. And then I started my own, but I had a client that booked me about 130 days a year here in Kansas City, Rockhurst University Continuing Ed Center. And so while I was an employee, it was like they were the ones that booked all my business. And then after doing that for about 10 years, I thought, I think I can make a lot more money working for myself. And I think every entrepreneur gets to that point and you're like, I'm smarter than these people I'm working for. I'm just going to go do it by myself. Yeah. And I think that one of the biggest lessons I've had in doing this for 25 years now is I just want to speak and be in front of people and help them to grow. What I didn't really think about was, oh, you're building a business, so you have to be a business person. And so that I've learned through the School of Hard Knocks, and I do to learn. So I've learned a lot of reading and listening to audiobooks and going to workshops, talking to other founders and CEOs. And so it's been a long journey, but I really just did this because, hey, I love to help people grow. And I think I can do that more on my own than I could working for other people.
Incredible. And clear as day, Frank, with the success that you've seen, that was a phenomenal decision that you made on that front. So I definitely want to get into the nuts and bolts, especially for our listeners, Frank, who can very well come and work with you after this episode airs, and I'm sure many will. So walk us through how you're really generating revenue today with Core Build Solutions. As far as the core offer, I know I mentioned a few with the interactive workshops, the keynotes, the leadership coaching. Is it one-on-one coaching? Do you have group coaching? How is it all structured for your clients when they come to you, and who is your ideal client?
So our ideal client, we'll just start with that, Jay, is organizations who have tasted some success but want more. Organizations where they want to take care of their people, but they're not necessarily people oriented, right? So like tech people, or we work a lot with engineers and engineering companies and tech startups, but just companies where it's like, hey, we've got a handle on the tech piece of this, but we aren't really that sure about how do we build a workplace where people want to come to work and where people really are encouraged and taught to be the best version of themselves. And what we do best, I think, and what I've been told, is we do labs or workshops. And so how that's different than a keynote or a coaching. Coaching is typically one-on-one, and we do some of that, but we'll bring your group together and we'll take you through, for example, one of our key offerings is called the Synergy Lab. So the Synergy Lab is a one-day program where we take your team through exercises that bring them together, help them to understand, here's who I am, here's who our team is, What are the values of the team? What are the values of the organization? Why are we actually doing this? Right. One of the questions that you asked me. But I think a lot of times we help people to figure out, okay, so besides making money and wanting to scale and sell it, like, why did you pick that particular thing? And because you want to hire people who are like, yeah, I can get excited about that. So in the Synergy Lab, we take people through a series of activities. So for example, one activity that I love to watch people go through is called speed reading people. And it uses a little neuro-linguistic programming, a little neuroscience, a little behaviorism, but we teach people how to understand themselves and other people in less than 60 seconds. And so it creates a foundation that you can then build your whole company on, because now people understand, they know how to have conversations with each other. And so you build that foundation of communication, and then you can build from there. So that's where we start with every customer, is to sit down and to create that foundation, and then we can help them one step at a time. But we do a lot of that in just that first Synergy Lab piece, and then we add extra things to go along, because it's with people, it's all about developing the right attitude and the aptitude, but you also have to change your skill set, right? So develop new behaviors. And so we're involved in helping people develop their behaviors over the long run.
I love it. So what would you say is the go-to for you of those offerings? Is it going to be that key offering there, or the interactive workshops? Would you say that makes up kind of 80% of the business, or would it be more on that coaching side, the keynotes?
No, I would say it's the workshops, Jay, are probably 90% of our business. And it's getting in there, rolling up our sleeves, but being involved with people. And I think our secret sauce is what I discovered the hard way, or by accident, was I've always had a propensity to get people to laugh. And I always tell people I wanted to be a stand-up comic, but my dad said, you can't do that. When I asked him why, he said, because you're not funny. Ouch.
All right.
But what I've learned, I started by I always get the audience to laugh, right? Because I want to have fun, and I'm taking the workshop with you. Let's laugh. Let's start to have some fun. And then we can pepper you with questions that are really going to make you stop and think about, oh, why am I doing this? And why do I do this? And how do I want to learn? And why did I go into business for myself? And so it's a mixture. And then I started studying neuroscience. When you mix laughter, that's the highest point at which human beings can connect on the energy scale. And then you come in right behind that and you make people a little uncomfortable, right? So I tell people, we're going to make you comfortable and uncomfortable at the same time. And that's really where the growth happens. And I think for anybody getting started in business, you're going to go through a lot of growth. You're going to go through a lot of things that are going to make you uncomfortable. And so what we want to do is to help you as a founder and to help people on your team get used to that, and to actually start to look forward to it, because there's always something good on the other side, right? And so it's really just helping people to laugh a little bit, look at how do I grow, but to take everything in stride.
So Frank, obviously your approach is very personable, right? You're up close and personal with all your clients. So on that front, what does work best for you, especially all this time that you've seen success? What's working best right now for the acquisition piece? How are you consistently bringing in leads and keeping that pipeline full, whether it is referrals, which I'm assuming is working well, especially with your personnel and your approach, or ads that you're running successfully, or social media that you're pushing out successfully? Which one of those avenues or channels is working best for you right now?
So I have to tell on myself, I've never run an ad in 25 years.
25 years, no ads.
I've done some social media. I've never gotten a lead from social media.
Wow.
So I get it all from two sources, Jay. So the first, you're absolutely right. Referrals are probably 90% of our business. So we'll go in and get a company to start having some help, and then they'll either take like somebody they know or a different part of that business. Hey, can you come help this division of our business? And so we do that. And then thank goodness we do a good enough job that I would say the average tenure of our clients is probably around 10 to 15 years, right? If you go in and you deliver a great product, I think that's the best form of marketing. And somebody told me at the very beginning, they said, if you are not a good speaker, don't do any marketing or advertising, because you'll go out of business faster. Invest in the quality of your product. And I think that's sometimes really overlooked. Is we have this great idea, I want to go make my money and do all the social media stuff, but then the product I've seen startups I've helped where their product didn't even work.
Wow.
And it's okay, you guys, you got to get your product to work. So we spend a lot of time and effort growing ourselves, making products that work. And so we don't do advertising or social media. What we do is we ask for referrals, or actually our clients give them to us. Hey, let me introduce you to who works in a different part of the company. Or the other great big place that we go is we go to speak in front of groups, which I understand not every founder like wants to be in front of the microphone, but people like you and I, we enjoy it. But that's where I find people, when you do what I do, people buy you. And I think that's true in any business. They buy you first. And so I just find when I can be there in front of the group, there's a certain energy in the room, right? We get people having fun and laughing, and then we always give them something to take home that they can use immediately, right? So it's that free sample. So I think that's the other thing that, like, if you can figure out in your business, how can I give somebody a free sample, right? You go to Costco. What do you like? My kids love to go to Costco just to eat.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll hit all the little tables. And then if you think about the car industry, like you would never buy a car without driving it. But I think we've gotten away from that. And everything these days is digital and tech and chat GPT and AI. But I think sometimes we forget our customers are still humans. And there still has to be that interpersonal relationship, and people still want to try stuff. And so I think that's worked best for us is we'll go in, we'll find different associations, we'll go in. And my goal is to give people something they can take out and use. And then if there's reciprocation, great, but that's not necessarily my expectation. I know if I can give you something of value and you go and use it, then you probably will call me and say, hey, what else do you have? So that's really been my approach. It's worked really well.
Yeah, I mean, it clear as day. It sounds like it's worked wonders for you. So talk to us a little bit right now, Frank, about how your mind is operating as far as scale today. Are you looking to continue to take this to the next level where you are going to think about getting into ads or doing more around social media? Is that something that you're thinking about, or how does that thought process with scale work right now for you?
So I signed up last year for a coaching service by Daniel Priestley. So he runs a company out of London called Dent.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with it. And so his message to his customers is you have to be out there in the world because the world's changing. And I realize that. And so to create my own digital platform, because there's parts of the world where nobody knows who I am. And so one of the lessons I've learned this year is I've done extremely well for the amount of marketing and advertising I haven't done. And so what Daniel Priestley got me to think about is where would your business be if you actually put yourself out more on social media, right? And so to have where somebody can go to YouTube and watch hours and hours of your content, right? And so and again, it's giving people that test drive, those free samples. So we're right now ramping up recording. We've got probably 600 different workshops that we can record, right? From 5 minutes long to hours long. So we're recording that content and publishing. You had mentioned that we've written 6 books. We're actually writing a 7th, but we also have 23 ebooks that we've published. So we're putting all of that content out for free in hopes that people will go and consume it and build the relationship digitally that way. Because right now, the only way to build a relationship with me is to hire me to come into your office, which has worked fine. But now just thinking about, okay, if I just put some of those videos out, which is fun, and you get to now help more people. And I'm just thinking, I bet we could triple our business pretty easily. So that piece is exciting. I'm also at an age where, there's the old question, where do you want to be in 10 years?
Yeah.
I don't want to be working. I want to be on a beach. Right? Maybe Myrtle Beach. I've heard good things about Myrtle Beach.
Good spot.
In 10 years, I want to be relaxing and my kids will be out of school and my son wants to play in the NFL. I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe it will, right? But I want to be able to go visit my kids and just take life easy. So I'm on a shorter runway of I want to get in the next 5 to 7 years. Here's the goals that I want to do, but I want to impact as many people as possible. And so I think publishing the new book, which is called The Secret to Thriving, Unleashing Freakness, right? So Freakness is my word. I made it up. I met Patch Adams at an airport, but I didn't know it was Patch Adams. And so as I was talking to him, I said, wow, you really embrace your freakness. And he's, man, you should write that down. So that's where that word came from. But your freakness, Jay, is what makes you unique and remarkable. And I think that's the secret to any person or any business is build on what makes you, right? And instead of trying to fix what's broken, amplify what's remarkable. And so that's really what the new program's about. We'll have a keynote, we'll have a workshop. So I'm really excited about that because it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's one of my values is having fun. So let's do it.
I love it. I love it. So, I mean, Frank, talk to us about, are you running the show with a team behind you, or are you still a small shop? You got a sales team, marketing team, assistants? How does the operation come together to see success over the last 25 years as you've seen?
So another secret, I don't know that I've made too many sales calls in 25 years either.
There you go.
So I am the sales team. I have two people on my team. One is a retired engineer who's been working with me for about 15 years. And so she was a client, and then she started co-facilitating with me. And then when she retired, she said, you need somebody to help you be more organized. So I'm like, all right, come on. And then we hired a young lady in the Philippines who's got IT expertise. She's a programmer. She has a marketing background, incredibly intelligent, single mom, 3 kids, and really wants to grow. And so it's really cool because you give her a little bit and then she'll not only do a magnificent job, Jay, but she reads the articles and the books and stuff. And it's been so much fun to watch her grow. And so that's really exciting. So I went from 1 person, we've now tripled in size, to 3. But again, I want to focus my time and energy on actually helping people and not on necessarily building a bigger team. So I think as a founder, that's one of the things you have to think about is how much time do I want to put into being a leader? And I was with a client of mine last week in Denver, and it's a $12 billion construction company. Well, the people at the top spend all their time like just moving people around from job to job. And that's a lot of his job is just keeping track of people. And so I think it's really important to stop and think about, okay, as I grow, who's going to take care of my people? Because you can't do it all as a founder.
And I think that's the most important piece right there, especially for our listeners who are also founders and running businesses, is really being able to put the right pieces in place, right? So you can do what you're best at, provide the highest possible quality for your clients, but also internally making sure that quality is there as well for your team. Couldn't have said it any better myself there. And clear as day, your process is working wonders for what you're looking to achieve, and you're doing some incredible things. What could you say, Frank, is the biggest bottleneck that you're thinking about today, right? Whether that is consistent lead gen or converting those leads into clients or delivering on the fulfillment side of things with the team size, what would you put there?
I want to, if I can, Jay, take one step back, and I'd like to make an offer to the listeners. So we have a tool called the 3-level framework. And the 3-level framework, it's if you write down, and we'll give you the ebook and a worksheet, and then anybody who wants to can download it for free. But it basically, as a founder or anybody, you write down everything on your to-do list, and then you break it up into one of 3 sections: flow, go, or no. So flow are those things that you do. When you do it, you're energized. You could do it all day long. You're great at it, right? It's things that you love to do. The second is go is stuff that you can do. Some of it you're pretty good at. Some of it maybe not so much. It doesn't really energize you, but stuff that you have to do, right? And then no is stuff that you have no business doing. It's an absolute disaster when you go anywhere near it. Nobody on your team wants you to touch it, and it just creates stress. So that's stuff that you should stop doing. But just by breaking your day down into that, just think about when you are a founder and you could spend 80% of your day doing stuff you love to do, how much more powerful would your organization be? And then you can do the same thing for your people, right? Hire people to do the stuff that they love to do, the stuff that makes them remarkable, right? That's the stuff that's in your flow zone. So download that ebook, we'll give that to you guys. You can download it for free. There's a worksheet that goes right along with that. But I think that would be really important to help people to have that focus. And then the second part is, what's my log jam? Was that kind of your question?
Yeah. What's the bottleneck right now that you're thinking about? Whether it's lead gen or clients, converting those clients, fulfillment side, what are you thinking about on that front?
I think the biggest logjam right now is I have so much of the content that I want to put out there that it's just trying to get all of that into one place. We have a fairly steady drip of customers. And one of the things you have to look at as a founder also is capacity. And so going into summer, my capacity is always lower because I've got my kids home for the summer, right? That's when we take vacations. My son's a high school football player, so we go to different camps. So you've got to think about capacity and how much capacity do you have? So the cool thing about being a founder is you get to pretty much to determine what your capacity is. And I think that kind of ties into the whole bottleneck thing, right? So right now, I would say it's getting all these things generated and then being able to utilize my two people on our team, because once all these things start to get out there, if we just increase 50% of our business, right, that's going to be pretty dramatic. So I've got to really think about my own personal capacity. And all right, if we increase 50%, how am I going to do that? Right? Because I'm not working 80 hours a week. I'm just going to tell you right now. And I think that's a really important thing that we're thinking about is, what do I want my capacity to be? And my wealth is important. Health and wellness is equally as important. And I think sometimes as founders, we don't stop and look at that. And then we get into that burnout. I remember a couple of years ago, Jay, I was working with an accelerator here in Kansas City, and they brought in a wellness expert, and his number was like, I remember what he said was that founders and startups have a disproportionately high percentage of burnout and people doing harm to themselves.
Wow.
Right? So that mental wellness piece is really important.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is being able to juggle all of the things that you need to juggle as a founder. So definitely can understand why things can get stressful, hit that.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, being able to balance that out is crucial, and why I love having people like yourself on the show who can really talk to that, make it a point to say, hey, take a step back, understand your priorities, understand what you have to put first, and then you can lead effectively, having that mindset. So I couldn't have said it better myself on that front as well. Paint us the picture now, Frank. Obviously, with being a family man, seeing the success that you're seeing, still wanting to take it to the next level and trying to balance that out mentally, what are you focused on for the rest of 2025, going into 2026, as far as continuing that growth and continuing that scale? What does that look like for you?
So I think the primary thing is getting the book finished, right? The Secret to Thriving, Unleashing Freakness, and then to get the workshop developed, to get the keynote developed. And I set a goal, Jay, about 2 weeks ago, and it started yesterday being June 1st when we're recording this. So my goal is in the next 12 months to give 1,000 presentations, right? That's a lot. Now, that's not just paid keynotes and stuff like that. It's going out to small groups, to Rotary clubs, Kiwanis clubs, maybe churches, synagogues, wherever, but just getting in front of 1,000 different groups and sharing the message, right? And that message is, don't fix what's broken, amplify what's remarkable. And there's just so much stress in the world, and so many people are just trying to fix everything. And I see people all the time. It's, you know what, if you just focus on what makes you remarkable, man, you can be happy. The secret to being happy is just decide to be happy. Not I'll be happy when, just, man, life's too short, I'm going to enjoy it. And so that's really my main focus right now. And so, if you take 1,000 and you divide that by 50, that's what, 20 presentations a week. And so some months will be busier than others. And thank goodness for digital media, because we can do stuff like this. And so it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a lot of fun, but I want to get the message out there and change the world.
Absolutely. Love that. So with that, I want to take us into the lightning round here. I could sit here all day with you, Frank. Your energy is incredible. Obviously, we had a great conversation before the podcast. So really an honor having you on the show so far.
Thanks, Jay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with the lightning round, I would definitely love to hear about a tool or resource that you're using, whether it's a leadership insight from your Dale Carnegie days or a strategy from Embrace Your Freakness or an AI tool that you're utilizing that's just making life easier. What's really been a game changer this far for Core Build Solutions?
Best tool I've ever used is called the Socratic method. Never tell people what you can ask them. And you can create sales conversations. You can get involved with customers and clients. You can find out what's on your people's minds, right? So it works with everybody, but it helps you to develop people. And it's based on the concept, if you give a person a fish, you feed them for a day. If you teach them a fish, you feed them for a lifetime. But I think that will help. Again, you can't do everything yourself. Socratic method, fantastic tool in so many areas of life.
I love that. And then last but definitely not least, Frank, what's a piece of advice that you can offer to our listeners tuning in right now? Again, so much experience and knowledge in the space, Frank. What can you give them before we wrap up the show?
I think the biggest thing I've learned, and I keep learning it, is everything happens for you, not to you. And so sometimes as we're going through things, a couple of years ago, I went through a life transition. I went from married to single. And at first I was like, this is really horrific. And it was challenging. But Jay, my life is so much better off, right? So just whether it's in life, with your company, or whatever it is, whatever you're going through now, there is a lot of really great stuff on the other side of it. And somebody once told me, if you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah, I love that. With that right there, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Frank, as I mentioned earlier, I just can't thank you enough coming on the show, sharing that incredible journey this far and your insights, clear as day, just with that passion and drive and intelligence that you have, why you've seen so much success and why you will continue to see it. Again, an honor having you on the show, and definitely want to have you back on another 6 months to a year to see where everything's at and get a good progress update. So again, thank you so much. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, which I know so many of you have, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also check out Core Build Solutions at corebuild.solutions for more on the transformative workshops, and follow Frank on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Frank Keck. And for more resources and insights, you can visit us here at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class marketing systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.